I have no doubt that Egypt is Africa, and that Africa is Egypt. You know, what you don't know, and I'll tell you today, is that if you look at the map of Africa, Egypt, the map of Africa is like a pistol. Nigeria is the trigger. Egypt is the, you know, is the back, is the cock. They tell you cock at the back. So, and South Africa is the nozzle. The problem with the African map is that it's pressing down right now. It needs to face up. But we would afford our audience the opportunity to ask a few questions. Please try and go directly to your questions. Yes, let's have at the back. Yes, yes.
I have a question for the representative of the citizen of Egypt. And you spoke about the move of this current government towards democratization. But what is the vision to achieve that democratization? Women from Human Rights Watch talked about inclusiveness as a process, but what are the steps in the vision of this government to make that happen within this 5-year period or whatever transition is?
Can we take one more? Yes. Maybe we should take 3 questions at a time. Mohammed.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Permanent Representative. You asked whether there was a previous example of an unconstitutional change in Africa where 50% or more of the population was in the street. So, do you remember what happened in Madagascar in 2009? Yes, so we had this same situation where we had a popular opposition leader backed by population who was basically installed by the military. The military deposed the unpopular president and installed this guy, but the military didn't take over power. So wouldn't you say that what happened in Egypt is very similar, if not the same, as what happened in Madagascar? And in the Madagascar case, the AU did suspend Madagascar, called it a coup as well.
Yeah, let's take one question.
Yeah, thank you. My first question is related to what he was asking, and I would have said what we're seeing in Egypt, and we've spoken about the loopholes that Morsi missed in terms of including everybody in the governance structure. And my question would have been, is this going to set a precedence for the rest of Africa in terms of countries where they have, fledgling democracies? Number 2, Egyptians are very passionate people. During the first and the second and the 10th revolution, according to Shawori, we've seen men, women, children going out into the streets in full force in their millions. But what has been interesting for me is that after the revolution, we hardly see women in public life anymore. We didn't see women in the governance structures. Is there a future for women in the political system of Egypt?
What happened here was the other way around. We had an ultimatum by the military themselves. They gave two ultimatums for the president to respond to the people in the streets. Actually, you should look at it the other way around. There was no alternative but to the military but to respond to people. When you have all the people down the street, you're giving the ultimatum to the president, and the ultimatum was not that we will take over. On the contrary, it was otherwise we will suggest a way forward. We will suggest having.
Come on, man! Don't insult our intelligence, please.
Okay,
give us some respect.
Let me finish.
I mean, tone it down a little.
Yeah, let me finish.
Yeah, but tone it down.
Right.
You're disrespecting us. Right?
Yeah, no.
We're not children here, please.
Sir, let me finish.
The conversation has been very civilized and respectful.
Yeah.
But when you start making inane remarks like that, it
I
insults our intelligence. I'm sorry.
Can I continue?
Go ahead.
So what happened is that even before that, the ultimatum given by the military did not initiate the uprising. Actually, it was a response to that. People for 6 weeks were saying, we are going down the street on the 30th of June because we want early elections. I haven't heard anything till now about what was the basic request from the president. They didn't request the president to step down. They wanted early elections. It's simply because, as one of our friends said, there was nothing in the Constitution that there was no other way to put the president on a vote of confidence, and we had no parliament in power. The second thing, if you want to call this a coup, then definitely it is no different from what happened a year and a half before, or 2 years and a half before. The only difference between ousting Mubarak and ousting President Morsi was that Mubarak accepted to step down, whereas Morsi did not step down.
You're good, man. You should be.
Thank you. Thank you. I will actually, for the comment on women, of course, there is it's something that we know. Women have been at the heart of the movement, whether in January 25th or in June 30th. And right now, I think it was they were actually, if you go down, if you follow the demonstrations, whether against Mubarak or against Morsi, you will find that the people cheering in the street, you can feel that the vast majority of the voices were women. And of course, they were not represented, and it's something that we take note of, and I think it has to be dealt with in the upcoming constitution to have more representation of women. I think that's it. As for Madagascar, I think that the only difference between Madagascar and Egypt is that we didn't install, the military did not install someone. They suggested a roadmap for new elections that should end by in 8 months.
All right, so can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead.
Excuse me, brother. Mr. Cousin. By any chance, were you appointed after Morsi was no longer president? That's a good answer. You don't need to answer. You responded already.
All right. So,
Do you want me to answer this question?
well, I thought it was a yes or no question.
Yeah, no, I was appointed before that, but I was not appointed even by the
Okay.
Were you appointed by Morsi?
No.
Okay, all right.